Let's talk about more present tense verbs rules. So, some present tense verbs have irregularities. What does that mean? That means that the ending of the verb is going to change a little bit in the singular subject-verb agreement. So, let's see how that happens. You're going to notice here that we have verbs, action verbs, ending with E, other verbs ending with a consonant plus a Y, and there are verbs ending with digraphs such as the ch, sh, or the consonant X, the consonant S, or the vowel O. So what happens in these verbs that end with these different letters? So the rule states that if the verb is ending with an E, all I need to do is just add an S. So let's take a look at these examples. I have the verb save. When I change it into the singular verb, I say saves. I only add an S. Same thing with love, loves, like, likes, educate, educates. I only add an S at the end of these verbs. What about the rule where it has a consonant, which means any letter in the alphabet that is not a vowel, plus a Y? All I need to do is that I cross off the Y, I just remove it, I add an I instead, and then I add ES. So let's take a look at these examples. For example, the verb try. I have the T, I have the R, and I have the Y. You're going to notice that the last two letters are R and Y. So this means that the R is a consonant and then is followed up with a Y. So all I need to do, I need to get rid of the Y, toss it out, replace it with an I, and then add ES. So the verb changes from try to tries. The same rule applies for the verb fly. It's going to change into flies, cry, cries, dry, dries. And I'm sure you can think of many more action verbs where this rule applies. Now, another rule here says is the verb when it ends with ch, sh, x, s, or o, what you need to do is you need to add an es at the end. So for example, the verb match, when I change it into the singular form, I add es. Why did that happen? Because there is a ch at the end of my verb. Same thing applies for the verb wash. When I change it into the singular form, I have to add es at the end. Same applies with mixes, assesses, and the verb goes. So let's look at some examples. When I say Ms. Dina loves her students, obviously we have to agree that the subject-verb agreement here is singular format, which means the subject is singular. Ms. Dina is one person, and therefore I have to add an S at the end of my verb. So, since the verb love ends with E, all I need to do is add an S at the end. The second rule says, the chef mixes the butter with sugar. The chef, again, is one subject only, so I have to add something at the end of my verb. And since the verb ends with X, then I definitely need to add EX to the end of the verb. The third example where I say, the pilot flies the plane. The pilot, again, is one subject, so the verb has to take something at the end of it. So if you notice to the original format or the plural form of the verb fly, it's going to be FLY. But because we're changing it into the singular format, so I'm going to cross off the Y, add an I instead, then I'm going to add my ES to change it into flies. So another two examples where I say Melik watches the game. Melik is only one person, so therefore the verb has to be in the singular format. And since the verb here, watches, ends with CH, then I have to add ES at the end of it. The last example where it says the kid. Again, the kid is only one example. So when I say the kid, I have to add something at the end of the verb to make it singular. So therefore, I would say the kid washes the plate after eating. And you're going to notice since the verb that is ending with SH, it has to take ES at the end of it. Thank you, and I hope this was beneficial. Go out there and do your work.